On January 30th, 2025, during a covert raid on a quiet house in suburban Tbilisi, Georgia, police discovered over 100 women locked in sealed rooms. What shocked the authorities most was that half of them refused to be rescued. These women came from Thailand, Cambodia, and Kazakhstan. They claimed to be part of a voluntary egg donation and surrogacy program. But inside the rooms, police found dozens of hormone-stimulant vials, blood-stained syringes, and fake medical records. A few months earlier, a woman named Na had escaped and returned to Thailand in a state of exhaustion. She was the first to report a disguised human egg farm run by Chinese criminal syndicates in Georgia, exploiting poor women under the guise of surrogacy. The women were injected with hormones constantly to force their bodies to produce eggs at high intensity, then anesthetized for egg harvesting without any proper medical procedures. What seemed like a far-fetched tale was verified by the Vena Foundation, who reported it to the Royal Thai Police and Interpol. A silent investigation was launched, tracing missing women and the suspicious activities of a company named Chinese Baby Cam LLC, the official entity behind the reproductive program in Georgia. Are there even darker secrets yet to be uncovered? And why did some women refuse to be rescued? The answers are about to be revealed. Before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss our upcoming videos. February 2024. Amid the bitter cold in Bangkok, an emergency call rang through the office of Pavena. On the line was Na, her voice trembling. There are over 100 of us, locked up, in Georgia. The call lasted less than 40 seconds, but it was enough to jolt the entire investigative unit into action. Operations were launched immediately. Initial investigations and Na's statement revealed that the victims were taken to Georgia through legal means. Round-trip plane tickets, detailed schedules, signed contracts, and even a procedure orientation video were provided. It all began with a Facebook post, not a shady ad, but a well-produced recruitment post with a company logo, hotline for applicants, and dozens of glowing testimonials. With promised earnings of 400,000 to 600,000 baht, around 14,000 USD, the surrogacy program in Georgia became a rosy dream for many women hoping for a better life. They were added to private chat groups, assisted with documents, and even given international legal consultations. Some were directly contacted by supposed former participants. Upon arrival at Tbilisi airport, they were greeted by a man with a Chinese ID badge, then taken by private car to a waiting resort. In reality, it was a 4-story building with steel doors, surveillance cameras, and nameless staff with no identification. On the very first night, their phones and passports were confiscated. At that moment, the dream of a better life turned into a nightmare with no escape. Before flying out, each woman was given $500 in cash and instructed, "Give this money to the immigration officer in Georgia, and everything will go smoothly." This instruction was, in fact, a coercion. Failing to comply meant an uncertain fate. After landing, the staff didn't take them to a hospital, but instead to Ghani, a quiet residential area in northeast Tbilisi. The white-painted houses with sealed glass windows like vacation homes, but inside they were prisons under strict surveillance. Na was locked up immediately upon entry. Her passport was taken, her phone SIM removed. "You are here illegally. If you try to escape, the police will arrest and deport you immediately," a staff member growled through a translator. For the first 3 days, they were held in windowless rooms. Every morning began with a hormone injection. No one knew what it was. Meals were passed through a small opening in the door. There were no names, only numbers. Each woman was called by a medical code. On the 4th day, Na and a few others were moved to another location. Subsequent relocations were sudden and without notice. They could only obey orders. No one knew where they would be taken next. In the early days, women whispered, "When can we go home?" But after a few weeks, the answer appeared on a wall behind a locked door, a handwritten Thai note with a price list, release fee $1,600, no negotiation, cash only. Some victims bravely asked, "How can we call home?" Their reward, brutal beatings. The guards didn't speak much. To them, the women were no longer human, they were egg machines, walking inventory. Once the drugs took effect, their bodies changed rapidly. Ovaries swelled, pain surged, some developed high fevers, some even died. But as soon as a bed became available, someone else replaced them. Na survived 4 egg retrievals in unsanitary conditions. She no longer remembered how many eggs had been taken from her. September 2024. After nearly 5 months in captivity, Na was released. Not out of mercy, but because her family had borrowed $1,600 to buy her freedom. She stepped off the plane at Suvarnabhumi Airport in an exhausted state, her skin pale as paper, hair falling out in clumps. Yet she was still lucky to be alive. The very next day, Na contacted the Pavena Foundation for Children and Women. She recounted every detail, from the legal recruitment ad on Facebook to the professional support staff and the successful former candidates who appeared like part of a flawless marketing campaign. What shocked the investigators was how sophisticated the trap was. This network not only exploited poverty, but also deeply manipulated the victim's psychology. They targeted girls who were unemployed, in debt, or estranged from their families. This was also why their crimes went unreported for such a long time. So what was their ultimate goal? Let's examine the root of the issue. In conventional medicine, egg donation is a tightly controlled procedure. Participants undergo regular health checks, psychological counseling, and are monitored by medical professionals. But in these human egg camps, all standards were completely discarded. The women were forced to inject hormones multiple times a day, with no specific dosage, no medical supervision. Their bodies were pushed to produce dozens of eggs in a short time, instead of the single mature egg produced naturally. When it came time for harvesting, they were anesthetized and had their eggs forcibly extracted without knowing the purpose of the extraction. Moreover, the unhygienic egg retrieval process and lack of proper medical safety measures left lasting health consequences. In regulated healthcare, if signs of OHSS, ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome, are detected, doctors halt treatment immediately. But here, no one cared. The women were pushed to the brink, left with no response. These victims had no idea that even as their health deteriorated, the trafficking network continued operating smoothly like a multi-million-dollar business. Each egg from a young, healthy woman could be sold for $5,000 to $15,000 in markets like the US, Europe, or China. That was the ultimate destination of this elaborate criminal scheme. Na had to desperately call for help. But calling wasn't enough. She had to beg her family to pawn assets and take out emergency loans of tens of thousands of baht to ransom her life from hell. That was the price for a woman to return home. In September 2024, when her flight landed in Bangkok, Na was just a thin shadow of herself, her eyes hollow and emotionless. But her memory remained sharp and full of anger. She sought out the Pavena organization and began recounting everything. Pavena began cross-checking missing women lists with records from surrogacy centers. Clues began to surface: company names, camp addresses, transport routes. Everything matched Na's testimony. Her file was forwarded to Major General Suwat Phan, Deputy Commissioner of the Royal Thai Police. He immediately assessed, this is no longer a regular human trafficking case. This is a transnational criminal syndicate with organization, networks, and protection. Major General Suwat Phan promptly contacted Interpol and Georgian authorities. A large-scale rescue mission was drawn up. Target: dismantle the human egg camp in Gani district and safely repatriate the Thai victims. But this was no easy mission. Authorities had to pinpoint the exact camp location and gather solid evidence to persuade local officials. Even the smallest slip-up could allow the entire network to erase all traces and escape within hours. Therefore, the investigation was launched in absolute secrecy. All information was internally encrypted, with no media leaks or public announcements. For months, the task force silently tracked intermediary companies, financial operations, and even underground social networks promoting overseas jobs. January 30th, 2025. After nearly half a year of investigation, the raid order was issued. At 3:17 a.m., a joint special task force from Georgian police and Thai diplomats stormed 2 key locations in Gani district. 3 Thai women, who had secretly sought help earlier, were successfully rescued. They were immediately taken to a protection center for medical care and emergency debriefings. The operation seemed successful. But then, an unexpected twist occurred. As investigators continued interviewing other women in the compound, not everyone spoke up. Some remained silent, a few dodged questions, and then one even denied all accusations. A woman named Nara, around 27, boldly said, "I'm not a prisoner. I have a passport and can leave anytime." She even presented a contract, complete with official stamp and signature, signed with Chinese Babycam Medical Consulting Group LLC. According to the contract, Nara and others like her were paid $300 to $500 per month for lodging and living expenses, and would receive $11,000 after childbirth. A Babycam representative also completely denied the allegations. No one was forced. Everyone has legal documentation. The conflicting testimonies threw the entire investigation into a dilemma. If this really was a trafficking ring, why were some women defending it? That question haunted the investigators. They began to question, were these women truly acting voluntarily, or had they been psychologically manipulated to the point where they could no longer distinguish between freedom and captivity? A hypothesis emerged, that a hidden hierarchy might exist within the human egg camp. Those who were cooperative, obedient, or had high biological potential were favored, given private rooms, better food, and spared from threats. On the other hand, those who dared to resist were pushed into isolated zones, where the most brutal exploitation occurred. Although Thailand and Georgia conducted over 70 interviews, apart from the 3 women who initially sought help, no other formal accusations were made. Investigators began to realize that the silence might not be proof of innocence, but the result of prolonged psychological conditioning. Some women insisted they participated entirely voluntarily. But was it truly a choice when they came from impoverished areas, with no jobs and no future, where selling part of their body became their only means of survival? The line between consent and coercion had never been so fragile. In some investigation photos, a few women were still smiling, posting check-ins in nice rooms and free meals, yet in the background were syringes, blood test papers, and clear signs of biological exhaustion. The case took a sharp turn when Anastasia, a Kazakh woman who had worked at the egg camp in Georgia, spoke out. She claimed she was treated like an egg-producing machine, not paid in full, and frequently threatened when she asked for early payment. Anastasia's account was completely at odds with Babycam's statements. This turned the investigation from skepticism to strong suspicion of deliberate fraud and systemic exploitation. Meanwhile, Leonia, head of the Georgian Society for Reproductive Medicine and Embryology, continued to defend the industry. She emphasized that legal clinics adhere to strict ethical standards, and that all women understood the contracts they signed. But the public asked just one question. If it's truly ethical, then why the secrecy? The raid on the human egg camp in Ghani instantly shocked the world. From Asia to Europe, headlines exploded with phrases like egg mafia, reproductive hell, and living human clone factory. Global public opinion erupted. Some demanded the entire Babycam network be prosecuted. Others suspected media exaggeration, contractual misunderstandings, or personal grievances. Debates broke out across legal and ethics forums. Several medical experts stressed, the testimonies of Thai women are living proof that the international surrogacy industry is being exploited and distorted into a tool of abuse. They called for tighter laws, stricter oversight, and a ban on cross-border recruitment centers. But defenders of the industry argued back. No 2 cases are the same. You can't equate the experiences of the willing with those of the coerced. After the scandal broke, the Georgian government was forced to issue a complete ban on commercial surrogacy. But the ban came only after hundreds of women had been drained, and many of them may never recover their reproductive health. What chilled investigators wasn't just the cruelty of the crime, but how these people turned a once humanitarian act, donating life, into a nightmare. In their hands, biology became a tool, medicine became a front, and trust became bait to lure victims into a fake humanitarian trap. In the world of medicine, egg donation is seen as a noble act helping infertile couples achieve parenthood. But in the human egg camps, there were no choices, no consent, no hope. Only blood, needles, and forced contracts. According to a report by the Pavena Foundation, in 2024 alone, 257 Thai nationals became victims of human trafficking. Of those, 204 were lured abroad under the guise of surrogacy work. The real number may be much higher, as most never return. Under pressure from global media, the Georgian government announced it was considering a complete ban on commercial surrogacy. Meanwhile, the Royal Thai police continue expanding the investigation, tracking down other baby cam branches, with hopes of rescuing more victims soon. China, the suspected main destination for these egg shipments, remains silent. The human egg camp case is not merely a human trafficking ring. It is a cold-blooded business model disguised under the veneer of medicine and compassion. These women, with confiscated passports, hormone-injected bodies, and wills crushed by despair, are not just crime victims. They are proof of a society that silently abandons the vulnerable. They were promised a better future. But in return, they were turned into biological machines, drained of every drop of blood, every egg cell, then forgotten as if they had never existed. The case closes. Some were rescued, some remain missing, and hundreds, possibly thousands, are still trapped in disguised reproductive camps around the world, where laws are weak and conscience is traded for profit. What can we do? Speak out, demand transparency, tighten legal loopholes, and most importantly, never let anyone trade their dignity just because they are poor. Because when humans are sold like merchandise, what we face is not just a crime, but the collapse of trust in humanity. If you see this as a wake-up call, leave a comment below and share your thoughts. This video ends here. If you found the story compelling, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share so we can bring you more strange and emotional stories. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.